Welcome to Mind Shield. We protect the mind and pursue the truth. Let's get started.
You ever get that feeling, that weird sensation where you think, man, it feels like I'm picking up a signal? It's a phrase we all use, right? But what if we took it literally? Could our brains, could our bodies actually work like antennas, tuning into this invisible world of electromagnetic fields all around us? Okay, let's crack this open and see what the physics really has to say.
And that quote right there, it perfectly sets up the conversation we're about to have. No, your body isn't some finely tuned radio receiver built to pick up broadcasts. But, and this is the important part, it's not just a lump of inert matter either. It's not a rock. The truth is way more interesting, and it sits right there in the middle.
That is the big question for today. We are going to peel back all those layers of science fiction to get to the scientific reality underneath. We'll look at how your body literally connects to the world electrically. We'll talk about the different kinds of fields out there, and then we'll hit the two giant, unavoidable roadblocks that keep our brains from becoming remote receivers. Okay, first things first. The basic idea that your body interacts with its electromagnetic environment, that's not science fiction at all. It's a fundamental fact of physics and biology, and this process has a name. It's called coupling. Think about it this way. Your body is basically a walking, talking bag of salt water and electrolytes. It's conductive. So when there's an electric or magnetic field nearby, it can't just ignore it. That field transfers energy into your body, creating tiny currents and voltages, just like it would in a piece of wire. This makes you an active participant in the electrical world, not just a bystander.
So, how does this coupling actually happen? Well, conductive coupling is the obvious one. You touch something with a voltage and zap, a current flows. That's the shock you get from a dodgy appliance. But capacitive coupling, that's a bit more subtle and honestly way cooler. It's like the hum you hear when you move your hand close to a guitar amp without actually touching it. Your body and the amp's electronics form a sort of capacitor, and the electric field jumps that air gap.
All right, so we've established our bodies can couple with fields. Cool. But here's where it gets really important. Not all fields are created equal. To really get what's going on, you have to understand the huge difference between what's happening right next to a source versus way, way far away from it.
Right up close to whatever is emitting a signal, the field is mostly magnetic. It's like the pulsing field around a big power transformer. It doesn't really radiate away, it just pulses. But as you get farther away, the electric and magnetic parts lock together and shoot off as a radiated wave, and that's what we call radio. These two things behave in completely different ways.
The near field is amazing for certain things. Take an avalanche beacon. It uses a low-frequency magnetic field for a very specific reason. That field can punch right through snow, ice, and clothing with almost no loss. But here's the trade-off, and it's a big one. The signal strength just falls off a cliff with distance. It is strictly a short-range, obstacle-ignoring tool.
Now, the far field, that's all about going the distance. These are the waves that bring you FM radio, that connect your cell phone to a tower miles away. And get this, at certain frequencies, because of our height and conductivity, the human body is actually a pretty good antenna for absorbing this energy. It's a known thing in physics, and it's exactly why RF safety standards focus so much on that specific frequency range.
So our bodies can act like antennas. Case closed, right? We're picking up signals. Well, not so fast. Now we have to introduce the first of two giant, non-negotiable laws of physics that just slam the door on most sci-fi ideas. The first one is called attenuation.
Attenuation is really just a fancy word for a signal getting weaker the farther it goes. It's super intuitive. Think about a flashlight. Right up close to the bulb, it's a blindingly bright spot. But look at that beam from 100 feet away. It's just a faint, fuzzy glow. EM signals do the exact same thing. They spread out, and their power gets diluted.
And we're not talking about a slow, gentle fade here. The signal strength dies according to the inverse square law, which is brutal. It means if you just double your distance from the source, the power drops to 1/4 of what it was. Look at this. At just 10 meters away, a signal has only 1% of the power it had at 1 meter. That is a catastrophic loss of energy from just taking a few steps back.
But hey, let's pretend for a second. Let's say we could magically overcome that tyranny of distance. We'd still run smack into an even bigger problem, trying to hear a single tiny whisper in the middle of a screaming rock concert. This is the problem of the noise floor.
The actual signals that make up our thoughts, the electrical pulses from our neurons, they are unbelievably, incredibly faint. We are talking about millionths of a volt. To even detect these, medical gear like an EEG has to have electrodes placed directly on the scalp. There's zero distance involved.
Okay, what about the magnetic field that our brain's electricity produces? Well, super specialized lab equipment. We're talking liquid helium-cooled sensors inside a magnetically shielded room can pick it up. And you know what it measures? Femtoteslas. To put that into perspective, the Earth's magnetic field that gently tugs on a compass needle is about 1 billion times stronger. The brain signal is almost unimaginably small.
Now take that impossibly quiet brain whisper and put it in our modern world. We are swimming, we are drowning in an ocean of electromagnetic noise that is orders of magnitude stronger. Every wire in your walls, your Wi-Fi, your cell phone, the radio tower across town, your neighbor's microwave, it is all screaming all the time. So when you take that microscopic signal from the brain and you apply the brutal math of the inverse square law, and then you try to find it in that chaotic storm of environmental noise, well, the conclusion from the source material is pretty blunt. Physics and biology make it impossible.
So, to really tie this all together, let's look at a real-world example. It's a classic spy story from the Cold War, and it perfectly shows every single one of these principles in action. Back in 1945, the Soviets presented the U.S. ambassador with this beautiful, carved Great Seal as a gift, and, of course, hidden inside was a listening device. But here's the genius part. It was completely passive, no battery, no power source. For it to work, the Soviets had to park a van outside and blast the seal with a powerful, focused beam of radio waves. That energy would make the bug vibrate with the sound in the room, and it would send a tiny, modulated signal back to the van. So, let's just walk through the verdict one last time. Can your body connect with EM fields? Yes, absolutely. It's called coupling. Is the brain's own signal strong enough to be detected from far away? Not even close. It's infinitesimal. Is our world quiet enough to even try it? Nope, it's overwhelmingly loud. The final conclusion is pretty clear. Trying to remotely read the brain's raw signals isn't like finding a needle in a haystack. It's like trying to find a specific grain of sand in the middle of a hurricane.
So, while reading thoughts remotely is going to stay firmly in the realm of science fiction, the story doesn't quite end there. We've established that energy can couple into the body. And if you used enough of it in just the right way, could you produce an effect? Could you actually make someone hear a sound that isn't really there? That's exactly what we're going to explore next time, when we dive into the very strange and very real science of the microwave auditory effect.